Chairman Cicilline, Ranking Member Buck, Chairman Nodler, Ranking Member Jordan, and members of the subcommittee, thank you for this opportunity to testify. I will be highlighting the on-the-ground implication of the heavily concentrated food system. I am the president of Farm Action. We look at the broader impact of market concentration in the food system, developing policy recommendations to bring about economic vitality in rural America. I have degrees in agriculture, economics, and law, and 30 years experience in policy development. My brother and I farm in Missouri. Economists state market abuses are likely to occur when the concentration ratio of the top 4 firms exceeds 40%. Today, the ratios in nearly every sector are far beyond this point. Beef is at 85%. At these levels, the understanding and application of supply and demand modeling fails to explain the market dynamics of concentrated corporate power. What we see are dominant firms exerting their power to extract excessive wealth up and down the supply chain. Today's grain farmers are trapped in an economic system dependent upon government subsidies for survival. When commodity prices are high, dominant firms simply raise prices of input. Today, commodity grain prices are up, but fertilizer prices have doubled. While the cost of manufacturing fertilizer has increased, these increases do not justify a 680% increase in gross margins for fertilizer companies. This spike in fertilizer would cost the farmers and the communities in Stearns County, Minnesota, over $8.5 million, requiring farmers to continue to rely on government subsidies. When commodity prices drop below production cost, farmers only survive if they do what it takes to receive government subsidies. The real beneficiary of this taxpayer-supported agriculture system are big meat packers who benefit from cheap feed. We call this model of government-supported production the feed meat complex. Meat packers either own or control the majority of the livestock needed to meet their plant demands, putting livestock producers in direct competition with the corporations they depend on to buy their livestock. This gives the beef packer the market power to slow their demand for cattle purchased in the marketplace, cutting the price they pay to producers. The majority of poultry farmers don't even sell chickens. They borrow money, millions of dollars, to build poultry barns to raise a poultry processing company's birds, hoping the company will keep sending them flocks so they can make enough to pay their mortgages. SBA determined the contract poultry grower has no independence and is under the mandates of the processor. One wrong move, one wrong statement, and they lose their homes and farms. As concentrated corporate power drives farmers off the land, the vertical integration of the food supply chain means the company provides everything it needs, no buying from local businesses. As farmers and businesses are pushed out, rural America is hollowed out. Farmers of color and their communities have felt the pain of power since the beginning of this country. Concentrated market power has continued the cycle of abuse. The experience of Nicodemus, Kansas, the oldest remaining African-American farming settlement west of the Mississippi River, and the stories of farmers on tribal land should be a part of your understanding of the impact of concentration on America's farmers. Food chain workers are in the most unsafe and unhealthy conditions at the workplace for some of the lowest wages. As reported, the oppression is so great that some frontline food chain workers have to wear diapers because their employer will not show them the dignity of a bathroom break. Dominant firms in the food sector have so much power they profit from a supply chain disruptions. Shortage of natural gas, fertilizer companies gouge the farmer. A fire at a beef plant, they gouge the consumer while cutting the price to producers. Today, consumers are experiencing a 6.9% inflation rate. A NASDAQ headline sums up the power of concentration in the food supply during a pandemic. Who's hungry? Food companies are gobbling up profits. Failing to include concentrated corporate power in any analysis of the current rise in inflation misses the mark. Blaming increased wages and increased government support during an unprecedented pandemic says to American workers, you can never make a livable wage. Doing so will cause too much inflation. The U.S. capitalist economic system will not work without government safeguards to ensure competition. The administration has a plan. It states they will invest $1 billion from funding from this Congress in local and regional meat and poultry processing. They will strengthen and provide greater enforcement of antitrust laws, including the Packers and Stockyards Act. They must do everything they have said, and Congress needs to take action as well. Our policy recommendations are included in our submitted documents. I thank you all so much for the opportunity to testify here today.